Next topic is analysis of propositions, sentences, and clause type. Propositions correspond roughly to verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and subordinating conjunctions, not nouns or pronouns. In addition to proposition, we have another term which is known as proposition density. Now, proposition density is an important factor in reading comprehension because the proposition's role in text comprehension and retention, because of its important role in the comprehension and retention. Proposition density is basically the number of propositions expressed divided by number of words in a given text. That is what constitutes the proposition density. In semantics, proposition density is a measure to determine the intensity or density of other elements, not only related to the conjunctions, but also it refers to the extent to which speaker is making assertion. So, proposition density in semantics is a measure or mechanism to assess the extent to which speaker is making assertions instead of rather simply referring to it as entities. Then we also have sentences. Now, sentences in print often have a complex embedded syntax structure. Since sentences also are of multiple kinds, we have simple sentence structure, compound sentence structure, and then the complex sentence structure. So these structures are very, very complex, and they places demands on readers' working memory. So it requires a lot of attention on the part of the readers in terms of assessing it, in terms of fully or accurately comprehending it. The important research that has been done in this area is by DeFrancisco and Parkinson in their study, which is known as an analysis of the proposition density, sentence and clause types, and non-finite verbal usage in 2 college textbooks. So that was the empirical study that they have done. Now, here they defined propositional density as the number of propositions in each sentence. Number of propositions in each sentence. Now look at this example. The young gray squirrel has a very long tail. So look at the propositions that are being used. You have has, squirrel, tail, young, squirrel, gray, squirrel, long, tail, very. So there are 5 in a sentence. 5 prepositions have been used. The proposition density of this sentence is 0.56. 5 propositions divided by the 9 words contained in the sentence is equal to 0.56. Furthermore, in number 1 to 5, 5 very is an adverb that modifies the adjective long, which is tail. This is the preferred method for listing the prepositions in a sentence. So, if you really want to understand the propositional density, this is the best example that has been given. Now, coming to cognitive overloading, rehearsing information, and transferring information, the author believes that sentences with its extremely dense propositional load and its complex embedded syntax might create cognitive overloading for some reasons, for the following reasons. Now, learners can only attend to finite amount of information at a given time due to the limited capacity of short-term memory. Incoming information from all the senses is stored in this sensory memory very briefly before it decays or is lost completely. The short-term store receives input from the sensory store and the long-term store, and this information is retained for approximately 30 seconds. Now, information is lost if it is not rehearsed. It is also lost if it is no longer needed. Then information is transferred from the short-term store to the long-term store for fairly permanent storage. Now, if the amount of information to be processed exceeds a student's working memory capacities to process it, then that student will have difficulty learning the material. To conclude, an extremely dense propositional based might pose difficulties. Information is stored briefly before decaying and lost if not rehearsed.